All right, guys, welcome back to the Clack Shack, and I've got my new D1 Pro. I got it in my enclosure. I got my cable management set up the way I like it. Everything looks good, and we're getting ready to go ahead. I haven't hooked it up to power yet, and I haven't hooked it up to the computer yet. I'm going to walk you through that process, downloading the software, getting it installed, getting this thing up to date, and hopefully we won't have any problems. And then we're going to try to do a couple of cuts with it right quick. So stick around for a minute while I rearrange everything, and we'll get started. All right, guys, as you can see, I've got it in there. I got everything in place. I had to do a little something different. My cable management, I didn't like the way the cables were sitting. They were kind of getting in the way and that type of thing. So I did a little work on that. Had to go get some, had to run to town and get some more zip ties and get some little tie downs here. Since I didn't have any holes or anything to screw these into, I used some of my 3M adhesive strip that I love so much and put those there. I can release this cable and the hose from these if needed, but all I needed was something to hold it up out of the way and make my cables do what I wanted them to do so that we could get this thing going. So I've got that worked out, and we're ready to move on to the computer setup now. All right, guys, over to the computer now, and I've got the XTool in the enclosure. Now we have to get the software. And like I said, guys, I haven't done anything to this machine, so I've actually got to go and download the software. So we're gonna go all the way to the website, and like I said, I haven't rehearsed this or anything like that, guys. So there may be some miss clicks here or there or whatever, but that's what we're fixing to do. So I'm going to XTool's website, and if you don't know where to go, there's the URL. And I have an XTool D1 Pro, and I'm running a Windows operating system. And so that's what you're going to click. Just click the link there, and it's going to download the software. This is basic computer stuff. I know it is, guys, and some of you may not be interested in this and may not want to watch. That's cool with me. This is for those guys that aren't as comfortable. Maybe this is the first time doing something like this, and so we are going to take this real world and run with it. So there's the creative space. It's saying there's a beta in the name of the program, but that's all they've got for us to download, guys. So I guess we'll be running that. That's what's on their website. So I'm assuming that it's still in the early stages of development. But yeah, I'm just downloading this. I did not plug up the XTool yet because, as you know, sometimes software can get a little hinky if the proper drivers aren't installed. So when in doubt, I would always download the software first, because typically when you download the software for a machine or a device, the drivers are included with the software, and so when you do, you get that driver so that you know there's not going to be a conflict when you get ready to move on. So currently, as you can see, it is saying that we do not have a device connected. And like I said, guys, we're winging this. So I'm going to select USB, and I'm going to go ahead now that I have the software, and I'm assuming that my machine should have all necessary drivers. I'm going to plug in my machine and go ahead and power it up. And let's hope it works, guys. This is the first time I put power to it, and it appears that it did. So that's a good thing. So we're going to hit this refresh button right here. It should detect it now. Let's see what it does. Like I said, this is okay. Do I got okay? Firmware is found. Recommended for update. Okay, so here we go, guys. Cross our fingers. Let's see how this goes. It shouldn't take but a few seconds to download the firmware. I'm sitting out here in the shack. I've got about 250 megs of internet. I got a gig in the house, and by the time I go through my mesh network and makes it out here, I'm running about 250. But I'm, 100 feet or so from the house, so it shouldn't take but a minute. But like I said, I'm not a pro. Nobody at XTool taught me this, guys. I am simply going on my experience with XTool and my experience doing IT-related work. And so that should have worked. I'm guessing that because of the firmware update or whatever, the machine has disconnected. So I'm going to go back over to this little connection tool here and get it back connected. We'll give it a second because I have no idea what's supposed to be happening right now. Saying connected. Okay, we got a little settings right here. Let's see what's in that. Okay, check for updates once again. Current version, so I'm good. I'm not going to use Wi-Fi, so I'm not going to worry about that. Working parameters. This one allows you to turn the red cross off, and I'm guessing that the offset is already calculated if you leave that on. I'm going to leave it on for now because that's kind of what I'm used to. I've heard rumors that the flame alarm might be a little overly sensitive, so I'm going to turn that down to low sensitivity, and I'm going to leave this on. Mine should never. This is what I've been told. This is like a tip over, or if somebody trips over a cable or something like that, and the machine moves, it's supposed to stop it. But mine should never move, so that's really not a concern. I'm going to leave that on. And of course, I do want to use the limit switches because why wouldn't you? So I'm going to leave those set that way. All right, so guys, I guess we're set up on this aspect of it. I will, however, okay, this is kind of like this is similar to lightburn in ways. So I'm just going to throw a little quick shape over here. Okay, there we go. All right, and let's see. Oh, I missed my camera. See that? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know that I'm going to be learning how to operate this software. I think I'm fixing to go straight into lightburn. So let me exit out of this. I don't want to save that. No, I'm good. And let me. Well, I needed that. All right, so I am going to go back. I'm going to Google it. XTool D1 Pro lightburn setup and see if it takes me to XTool's site. There we go. All right. D1 Pro lightburn, because I know they had a configuration file for the D1 precautions, user manual. So I'm not sure about the Pro. So that's kind of where I'm at, guys. Let's see. Let me go to the D1 Pro here. Use lightburn. There we go. That's what I'm looking for, guys. All right, so here's what it says about lightburn. So download a trial. I don't have to have that because I've already got it. All right, before you configure to deal with D1 Pro, download the configuration first. So I'm going to go ahead and get that running in the background. And then pretty much it's the same setup as the original D1. So what you're going to do is just open lightburn, click devices, and then you're going to import the preferences. So the original configuration is overridden. Uh-oh. make sure that you're using import pref from the menu. Okay. So we're going to go down and we're going to click devices, and so I guess that's going to be the import button. D1 Pro. Okay, let's just see if we can wing this, guys. I've done this for a couple machines, so hopefully it won't be that much different or that much more difficult. If I screw it up, I'll start over, I guess. This camera gets in the way so much. Alright, so devices. Alright. Create manually. No. Let's do it. Import here. And it went to my downloads. Okay, there's the D1 Pro. So, okay. Showed it got COM5, XTool D1 Pro. Okay. All right. Let's see if it actually. Let me move this and get it out of the way here. Let's see if my camera's gonna. The camera, I don't think I should have to do a whole lot to it. You can see my fancy little straps there. Let's see if this thing will home now. Yes, it did. So I'm going to update my overlay here. So that was very painless, guys. Very, very painless. And you know I got to burn something with this guy. So now that I've got it in here, some of my settings may have to be changed. Let me go over here and see what my device preferences and all that good stuff looks like here. Make sure I'm where I want to be. I'm guessing it's still 16. Oh, there we go, right there. Well, wait a minute. I've got limit switches now. I'm going to leave that at 0, guys. Never had limit switches before, so we'll see. We'll leave that at 0, 0. But I am going to make it return to 0, 0 after it gets through with a job. That way, if I'm using my jig, it'll get up out of the way, and I can go back to doing what I was doing. Auto home on startup. Nah, we'll leave that off. I've gotten the habit of doing it manually. So yeah, I guess everything else came in and imported when we did the config file. Oh, wait a minute. I see something I got to do there. This is white space scan. I run it in those engraves where you have a lot of white area. Just make my speed pick up a little bit and cut out some of the burn time. If you haven't been trying that and using that, then by all means, you should try it. It's pretty neat to have. All right, so let me get a scrap piece of wood, guys, and we'll see what this thing's made of. So stick around for just a second. All right, guys, I'm back, and I'm going to update my overlay here. Let me grab some glasses. I have laid them somewhere, and I have no idea where. I may be adding a hole to my enclosure to reach through and push the button, because I've heard you've got to push the button on this guy. I don't know about with lightburn or not. We'll see in just a minute. So let's just do a quick little burn. I want to see if this thing will. I want to see how much power we're working with here. So let me get my cut here. I'm going to just set this for 4 millimeters per second. I'll set it for 1 pass. If it cuts through this in 1 pass, y'all may get to see me do like a little victory dance of some sort. I know nobody wants to see that, but it's going to make my life much easier. I'm going to make this box. I like circles instead of not quite circles, so I'm just going to make this 50 by 50. And I'm going to do the front. Let me pull back over to the camera so you guys can kind of halfway see what's going on. But I'm going to run the frame right quick and see what it does. I've still got to set the focus. I haven't done that yet. Framed well. I'm going to go over here and do the focus. And since I don't have my other camera up right now, I'm just going to pause the video, set the focus, and I'll be back to do the cut. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to do some educating myself on this secondary little focus lever on the right side. I believe what that is I know y'all have always heard me say that when you're cutting real thick material to kind of cheat your focus a little bit. And I believe what XTool has done, from what I can tell from what it looks like, is basically now you can cheat your focus. So the way they've got it set, they've got it listed from 0 to, looks like 8 millimeters. And I don't have any glasses with me, and that is some tiny writing, guys. But I see a 0, 2, 4, and 8. So this material is 4.5 millimeters thick. So I kind of put it basically halfway. This is 4.5, so I put it basically halfway. Because I think what that is that's going to be your focal cheat. And what that does is you would set your focus like you normally would with the little leg. And then you go back and that thickness cheat kind of moves your focus down into the material. Because if you're doing an 8 millimeter thick piece of material, you actually want to cheat your focus down 4 millimeters to make sure that the optimal focal point is in the middle of that piece of wood to be able to come out the other side effectively. So I think what they did, they built a cheat into it. So since this is 4.5 millimeter wood, I'm going to move it up to about 4 on the millimeter scale there and run it that way. Because theoretically, this thing will cut to 16 millimeters, and the little cheat there gives you up to 8. So we'll see how it does. I am going to be running my air assist. I'm going to turn my table on, and here we go, guys. Let's see what this thing will do in one pass on this 4.5. And I'm hoping that I don't have to reach in there and hit the button on lightburn. And you don't, guys. You don't have to hit the button with lightburn. Good job. Wow. This is impressive, guys. Y'all are going to want me to get my, once we get through this little preliminary setup on the computer and make sure I don't have any problems, I'll get the other camera out because this thing is digging. It is a good thing that vacuum table works as well as it does because it is blasting. I can see the smoke curling out from under the piece of wood, and it is blasting through. All right, guys, here we go. I'm going to reach in here and get it out. It is finished. One pass, 4.5 millimeter. One pass, guys. One pass. And for those of you that are asking, there's the speed right there, guys. 4 millimeters per second, 100% output. One pass, clean drop, no snags. A little bit of soot, but actually, that's awesome. That is awesome, guys. That is awesome. Let me update my overlay here. Check that out. Check that out, guys. It cut it out in one pass. That is some serious cutting. Now, the kerf is more than what you would normally have with the XTool. The piece doesn't fit in the hole as tightly, so you're going to have a little more kerf when you're making things. You're going to have a little bit more to account for if you're trying to make those snap and lock boxes, because this thing probably, I'd say it has probably a 0.5 millimeter, maybe close to 3/4 millimeter kerf. But all right, guys, that concludes the computer part, and now I'm going to get the camera outside of this. And I've got some wood, and we're fixing to put this baby through the paces. So stick around for just a minute and let me get everything configured to be outside the computer, and we are going to have some fun. All right, guys, it's time for some fun here. What I have here is a piece of pine. This is a scrap piece of wood from stove covers and such. 18.79 millimeters, also known as roughly 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to move over. This is basically, you can say 19 millimeter thick pine. This is not this is regular pine. I have went ahead and set set the cheat all the way as low as it'll go, and I've set the focus. So I'm fixing to see how low this thing will go. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shrink the size of this circle. I'm gonna go ahead and rehome the laser. Oh, it's so smooth with those limit switches. That is pretty cool. So no more bump and grind, no more banging the sides, so that's good. Updating my overlay, I'm gonna try to place that kind of in the corner so we can play with this piece of wood, because I may not be able to do this in 1 or 2 passes, so we're gonna play with it. I'm gonna go ahead and frame that up and see how it does. All right, guys, going hot. Here we are. I'm just gonna do, I've got this set to 4 millimeters per second, 1 pass to start with. The fan's kind of pulling my smoke out of there. This thing's generating a lot more smoke than the 10 watt did. All right, no go on 1 pass, but man, it cut into some wood. So I'm gonna move over a little bit, and I'm gonna leave this piece of wood. I'm not gonna cut the same spot, and the reason that I'm doing that is when we get done, I'm gonna take my bandsaw, and I'm gonna cut this piece of wood and see how far that those did make it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and frame this second cut. And if you notice, I did set the machine to return to 0, 0. So it's returning to home after each cut. That's the way I like my machine, so I don't have to go to moving it manually by hand or anything. So I've got this set for 2 passes. Let's see what happens. This is 3/4 inch pine. This is actually the wood I make my, and it's already, I'm seeing smoke coming out from under the honeycomb. And I've got my fans blowing over here, guys. My vacuum table works. It's just that fan's kicking some smoke out. This thing is really generating a lot more smoke than what I'm accustomed to. But it does appear from the reflection on the cone there that it's at least partially making it through this piece of pine, 3/4 inch pine. All right, guys, that's 2 passes. Where the smoke was coming out is actually some holes from some of the bugs. That's where the smoke was coming out. So can't quite do it with 2 passes at 4 millimeters per second. So let's see. I don't like going slower than 4 millimeters per second because I have found that the risk of fire is way more than what I want to risk. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set this cut to 3 passes, and we'll see what happens now. And I will probably never cut 3/4 inch pine with this thing, realistically. I mean, I guess maybe there might come a time where I want to try it, but I've got band saws and stuff, and I really don't see me cutting 3/4 inch material, but I do want to see if this thing can do it. I've seen the demos, you know, and I know if everybody else is like me, you know, what kind of wood is that? Is it actually a piece of wood? So this way I know for sure, because this is Alabama raised. I cut it on the sawmill, pine. And man, this thing, I'm gonna have to make sure I keep my enclosure shut because this thing generates some smoke cutting 3/4 inch. Fans are kind of blowing it away over here on us. All right, 3 passes. It's starting to come through slightly, but not enough for it to fall out. So let's do that one more time. I'm gonna run it 4 passes this time and see what that does. I feel confident that 4 passes is actually gonna do it. You can tell when it hits the little bug holes because smoke comes spraying out of them, out the sides of the material. That is hilarious. You can see it right there. Smoke's just bellowing out the side of the material there. The old vacuum table's doing a pretty good job of handling it, even though I've got a pretty strong breeze coming from the door over there. Like I said, I'm running the XTool Air Assist as well, so this is all XTool configuration here. This isn't any of the other aftermarket stuff that I've got. This is all genuine XTool equipment here. It's got to be through now. It is bellowing smoke out of the... Not quite a clean drop, guys, but it is tearing it a new one there. All right, I'm gonna make it through this piece of wood before I quit. So let me update my camera overlay there. And let me try to squeeze this one up here between these other two. Let me frame that out and see if it's gonna make it. I'm aiming for this little area right here. Camera's not exactly on today. All right, let's circle frame that again. Now you go up a little more. That'll work. And let's see how many passes I've got. I've got this set to 5 passes, so we'll see what happens. I will say though, substantially more cutting ability than what I've ever had. And all the nightmares, guys, about setup problems and alignment issues, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm running 4 and 5 passes on this cut, and it's stacking the cut perfectly. So the tensioning process that I showed y'all, obviously it works. Obviously the assembly that I showed you works. So if anybody wanted to verify that, that my way of putting it together, adjusting the belts and belt tensioning off, you wanted to verify if it was correct or not, there it is right there, guys. I mean, it's not staggering the cuts. It's staying within the kerf. Now, it does have a substantially wider kerf than the 10 watt, but it's also substantially stronger as far as cutting ability too. And that's a lot of smoke just bellowed out the bottom. This should be the 5th pass. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to keep the lid closed to keep from sucking the air out this side with my fan going over there. Oh, it's still not wanting to fall out. I've got the little cheat all the way down. So I guess what I'm going to have to do is just run it an extra pass if I want to try to cut 3/4. But realistically, I'll never be cutting 3/4 inch material, as I said. All right, guys, I took the bandsaw and went ahead and I just made sure I went through all of these circles so we could see how deep it was going. The 1 pass, as you can see, it penetrated about halfway with 1 pass. With the 2 passes, I mean, it almost made it through there. And then we moved it up to 3 passes, and 3 passes only liked a few little millimeters. This cut over here was that was 4 passes, and as you can see, it did a pretty good job of cutting most of the way through it. There's a few little pieces holding there. And then this is I may not have cut it enough with the saw, but well, here's the other half of let me find the other half of the hole. Okay, this is like the 5 or 6 pass. And as you can see, it almost made it.
So, like I said, not something I'm going to be doing on a regular basis, but obviously it can be done. If I sit here and tweak with my focus a little more, I could get it to cut through. But I'm going to say it's going to take at least 4 passes to 5 to be able to successfully cut all the way through this pine. But now 1/2 inch material, you could smoke it pretty good. So let's grab some 1/2 inch. All right, guys. Now this is a realistic piece of material for the laser. This is something that I actually think I probably would see me cutting a little bit of. This is 10.6 millimeter or 0.42 inch pine. This is some more of the same pine that I cut here. This one hasn't been planed or sanded. This is just rough cut, but I'm pretty confident that it'll cut through it in 1 pass. So I'm just going to set me up a 1 pass. I'm going to get away from that knot there. I'm going to kind of go to the top left corner of the material. And let me go ahead and frame that out. Go ahead and, well, I'm going to have to move it to focus. All right, that's focused. I'm going to rehome since I moved it. All right, circle frame. And let's see if I can get a 1 cut drop on this one. I'm going to go ahead and back the passes down to 1. See what we can do. And seeing how it's shredding this 3/4 inch material and how it's almost making it through halfway on the really thick material in 1 pass, I don't think this is a stretch. I think it's doable. It may take 2 passes, but I think it's, oh, okay. So it is going to take 2 passes. All right, here we go. Like I said again, waiver guys, I may or may not be setting this this adjustment on the head correctly. I'm going to have to go to XTool's website and watch a few videos. I've been out of town for a few days. Haven't really had a chance to do that. So, all right, let's see what happens. This is 2 passes. Okay, clean drop. So there you have it, guys. Definitely a lot stronger cutting ability. I am pleased. That's 11 millimeter pine. 2 passes at 4 millimeters per second. I got a clean drop. And like I said, I know I could probably slow it down to 2 millimeters per second, 3 millimeters per second, and I could probably cut through this a lot faster. But I know that I am not going to cut that slow. So there's really no need of me even attempting it. I want to know what it's going to do at my speed that I usually operate. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful. And for all of you out there that are scared to death to take your new Pro out of the box, between the earlier video and this video, I hope you feel a little better about it. Like I said, I didn't do anything special. I have no special training. I mean, I literally didn't even watch any videos intentionally on how to put this thing together. And the reason I did is because I wanted to kind of basically come into it blind, the way that a lot of people would if they've never really had a laser or never had a D1 XTool. But I did have a little experience with the D1, the original, so I couldn't make myself forget that. But all in all, putting it together was relatively easy, the same as the regular D1. And my video, I hope, was detailed enough that even if you've never put a D1 together, you know, watch the video, follow along in the book, follow along in the process. If you need to, pause the video, back up, rewind, fast forward, whatever you need to do. But the purpose of that video, and I apologize guys, because it wound up being over an hour long, but everybody was wanting me to do a thorough putting it together and getting it set up video, and so that's what I did. And hopefully this will help you out with the second part, which I know there's been a lot of nightmares and horror stories about firmware updates and bricking your machine and all that, but guys, y'all saw I went from a computer that had never seen a D1 Pro, had never seen the new software, and I walked you through the whole process and showed you the results. It works. So if you have any questions or comments or concerns or whatever, feel free. If you need help, I'm not always available, but you can message me on my Facebook page at the Clack Shack and ask questions if you want. I know YouTube really doesn't afford you the option of messaging me directly, but you can go to my Facebook page, which is the Clack Shack. There's a link on my YouTube channel, and you can message me there, and I'll message you back as I can. But do me a favor, before you start asking too many questions, please look for a video, because I try to do these videos so they don't have to answer the same question over and over and over. I'm trying to keep a good attitude about it, but sometimes, guys, when I've heard the same question 100 times, it does get a little old. But I'm here to try to help, and I'm going to continue to do so to the best of my ability. So if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, and you can hit the notifications, the little bell. Go ahead and click that thing, because the more I learn about the machine, the more little tweaks and little niches that I learn about it, I will be more than glad to share those with you. I've got my D1 10 watt just kind of propped up over here for right now, but in the next 2 or 3 days, I've got some jobs I'm going to be running on the Pro, and I'm going to be trying to get the 10 watt situated. That way I'll have 2 cutting machines that I can use for those large jobs that I'm in a rush to get through with. Also, my 10 watt is going to be my dedicated engraving machine for my stove covers. And so I'm going to come up with somewhat of a makeshift enclosure for it. I don't know that I'm going to do a full-blown enclosure, but I'm definitely going to have something set up. I've even thought about trying to make me an enclosure that I could just simply slide a stove cover into it, have the machine elevated above it, but still be able to engrave it. And I haven't ruled that out, but we'll see. But anyway, thanks for stopping by, and I hope this helps, and have a good day.